everybody, it's Sharon here. Welcome back to my channel for those who are returning, and welcome to any new subscribers that may be visiting for the first time. So I've got a little project in mind for my Wonderland journal, but first I wanted to talk to you about my Wonderland journal. Now, I mentioned to you in a previous video I have it on another table, and I've been flipping through it, putting ephemera in, deciding what I want where, and as you know, it's taking me a while to finalize the project, and I'm going to fill you in as to why. Just bear with me, I'll be back in a moment. This is where I'm at. Now, this is huge. It doesn't want to stay closed because it is way too full. As you recall, I believe my spine is 3.5 inches, which I was really concerned. Yes, 3.5. I was really concerned was going to be too big as far as being able to pick up the journal comfortably and all of that. But I can get my hand around it quite easily. But can you see? Can you see my dilemma? Okay, and I'm still creating ephemera for it because I have tried. I'm going to zoom, I'm going to focus that so you can get a proper look. I have tried to cull, and it's been sitting open on my desk, so the papers are all over the place, sorry. I've been trying to cull, as in work out if there's things I can take out that not that I don't need in there, but I've been trying to make it smaller, and every little piece I've put my heart and soul into, and it was made specifically for this journal, and I'm like, I really don't want to take anything out. I even tried taking out my last couple of signatures. So I'll take those out, which leaves me with this, and I'm like, it's not quite working for me either. So I'm struggling with what to do. I wanted to talk it out with you. So I'm just going to sit those back in here so that I don't mess everything up. Oops, sorry, the focus is really bad right now. I'm just going to pop this back on my other table. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I'm back, and I'm still working on my Wonderland journal, believe it or not. I'm still creating ephemera for it. So while I do that, or actually before I do that, I wanted to show you, in one of my last videos, may have been the last one, I mentioned a digital kit that I hadn't shared with you. There's actually a couple. I am unable to share all of the kit with you because I actually printed quite a few of each of the kits, but I've been tea staining them, and I actually have them in my paper press at the moment, but these are some that I haven't actually tea stained yet. Just checking I'm in camera. So they're from ArtVintages, and there's actually 2 kits. Now I cannot tell you which of the kits I have here because I've mixed them all up while I've been tea staining, and there's possibly more laying around on my desk somewhere. I've got bits and pieces everywhere because I'm working on about 27,000 different things at the one time. But so I purchased 2 kits from ArtVintages recently. One is called Decorated Words 27, and one is called Framed Sheet Music Covers 13. Now, if you haven't had a look at the kits that ArtVintages has over there, when these were uploaded, there were a stack of different sets in each of those categories. So in the frame sheet music covers and in the decorated words, I've just picked out one of each. And I think one kit had about, don't quote me, but I think it had about 40 sheets in it. So I can only imagine how many papers there are in the whole collection. But I think they are fabulous. They are really, really fun, and I've got a few ideas on how I want to use them. So I'm just going to flip through what I have here. As I said, I've been tea staining, so this is just what's left that I haven't actually tea stained. And I will show you something that I did make using one of the pieces that I have tea stained in a moment. Just lots of music cover sheets with all of the beautiful text, scripted text and flourishes and the gorgeous borders that come with those. So that's just a few of what I have printed. As I said, I do have quite a few more in my paper press because I have tea stained those and I have them there. Sorry about that. I have them there waiting to be taken out. I only put them in there yesterday, so I just wanted to give them at least overnight. Now, okay, so this is something that I have made using one of them. It is an envelope that I've made. So I've tea stained the paper, and following a video from Gayle Agostinelli, I have actually Mod Podged both sides, and I did both sides twice. So I did one side, left it to dry, did that one again, left it to dry, turned it over and repeated the process on the other side. And I've just folded it into an envelope shape. I did trim the edges to make it the right size to fit on an A5 size piece of paper. And I've just added a piece of my tea stained paper on the bottom there and a piece of calico over the top. And I had this snippet, one of the snippets that I did on camera, and I popped that over there, and that's actually what I want to put there at this stage. I thought that was a great look, and beautiful big sized envelope. I thought it would be great in a belly band or even in a tuck spot on a page, perhaps a pocket, but it would have to be a very large pocket. But you can size it to fit whatever size pocket you'd like. You could also reduce the size of the paper, which I have some of those as well, and make smaller ones, which I plan to do. And I may do that on camera. It's really hard to do the Mod Podge part on camera, so my plan is to do that part off camera, and then perhaps I can create the ephemera on camera. But just sewn around the edges, really fun and easy, and I thought it was a great way to showcase those beautiful papers. So, and it would look great in a pocket either way. So that was one way to use those papers from ArtVintages. And as I said, there are multiple sets. When I chose the ones I wanted to use, I've got some, sorry, off track, I've got some pieces of tea stained manila folder, and I will tell you how big they are when I can figure out how to use my ruler. So it is almost 4 inches by 6 inches, so about photo size. I'm just going to ink these while I'm talking to you. So when I chose the papers that I wanted to use, I was looking for titles that had specific words in them, and that was how I chose which ones I wanted to buy. Obviously I would love them all, because honestly there are some beautiful covers, just gorgeous. But again, 2 sets and I have so many choices, it's crazy. So I'm really excited about that, and that was just one way that I thought I could use them with the envelopes. So, and I do thank Gayle for sharing that. I had actually planned on making the envelopes without doing the Mod Podge. I actually used that Mod Podge technique, gosh, back when I first started making junk journals, and it's possibly something that I saw Gayle do. As you're all aware, she was one of my first junk journaling gurus that I learnt lots from when I first started on this journey, and I haven't actually tried doing anything like that since then, which is, it's funny how you move on from an idea and start trying different things. My brush is starting to shed, which is a little unfortunate. Yes, you move on from ideas and you kind of leave ideas behind. So I haven't actually thought about doing that for quite some time, and it really does give the envelope a lovely feel. And it also protects the paper, like it seals the paper. So if you wanted to put things in there that perhaps need a little bit more of a robust envelope to store, I'm not really sure what, as an example, I can give you, because off the top of my head I can't think of anything, but it certainly makes the envelope a lot stronger. So I will be making more of those. I need to clear my desk, my new desk, of all of the bits that I have on there, so that I have room to do the Mod Podging and I can leave it to dry. And at the moment I have my huge big Wonderland journal on there, which doesn't leave a lot of room for anything else. So my Wonderland journal, I'm at a dilemma. I'm at a crossroad. I really don't know what to do. I can't help but continue making ephemera for it. I've got pockets that need filling, and like I said, I've made every single piece with this journal in mind, and I want to include it all. I don't want to cheat the person I've made it for out of receiving some of those beautiful things. So I have a couple of ideas that I wanted to chat to you about. One is perhaps making a larger journal, larger spine. I know, I feel like I was pushing the limits with 3.5 inches. So I'll tell you where I'm at. When I was looking at the journal yesterday, I grabbed my ruler and, sorry, I just need to clean this paper off after my shedding brush. I may have to replace that topper. Now I need to decide what I want to do with these next. So that leads me to something else I was going to share with you. Okay, again, because of the size of the journal, I'm trying to make things to go inside my journal that are relatively flat, not bulky. So I've printed some of those cover sheets onto tissue paper from both sets. At different sizes. I've only done the 4 to a page and the 9 to a page. They're the sizes I thought I would be interested in for this particular project. Okay, and I also have some focal points that I've printed onto tissue paper. So this is the Familiar Wildflower set number 2. I'm not going to flip you through all of them right now because otherwise I won't get this video finished. British Wildflower set 3, and we have the birds. I don't remember the name of those, but I will check for you and pop it in the description. Or is it just here? They are the vintage ArtVintages Parrots 4. And then, oops, I have some of the tickets from one of ARTYmaze's ticket sets that I shared. I think it was in my last video. I printed onto tissue, and also from, oh, new shop, that's testing my memory, AllureBooksCrafts or AllureBooksCrafts. So again, shared those in my last video, I believe. So I have all of those tissues to play with, and the idea of playing with the tissue paper as opposed to paper is to not just keep the layers thin, but also I wanted that element of transparency. So that's what I'm working towards. Okay, now where did I get to? My journal. So one idea is to, I want this, I think I want to stamp first. One idea is to, I'm not very good at doing two things at once. I just need to get myself a stamp. Okay, so I have my Kaisercraft script stamp and I have my Stays On Timber Brown ink. And I'm just going to use this on here, and I'm going to use the sheet underneath as a stamping paper. So my two options, let me see if I can get this out. One is to make another cover with a larger spine, and I grabbed my ruler yesterday and I had a look at the sizes and I was like 4.5 inches, 5.5 inches. I was like, how far can I push it? So I did actually walk around with my ruler in my craft space looking for things that were around that width that I might be able to pretend to pick up to see whether it felt awkward or uncomfortable. I really didn't find anything that was quite that big in width that would give me an indication, so that left me going, will that work? And I still don't know. Another option, or my other option of thought, was to split it and make two separate journals, almost like a volume 1 and a volume 2, which I kind of think is rather cute. Not really how I intended it to be, but it would give me more room to play with space as far as being able to fit everything into the journal. And of course they could sit on a shelf side by side and look really beautiful together. So they were kind of the two options I came up with, and I'm throwing it out to you guys to tell me what your thoughts are, whether you have any other solutions or ideas, whether you like either of those ideas. I kind of need to brainstorm with you guys because, like I said, I don't want to, sometimes when I've made a journal and I've decided that I have too much, I've taken out signatures or I've taken out ephemera, and I really don't want to do that with this journal. So I'm just like, I need to phone a friend. I don't know what to do. I like both ideas, but I don't know whether such a large journal with a 5.5 inch or slightly less spine would be too big. I kind of visualized having it on a shelf and pulling it off, and of course you grab hold of a book by its spine to pull it off, and I was like, I'll see if I can use this to demonstrate. This is my ephemera folder and it is quite large. I kind of visualized picking it up like this, but then I was like, maybe I could pull it off a shelf like this and perhaps grab underneath it, like to support it, to get it off the shelf. I did find what I considered a large book on my bookcase, and it turned out that the spine on what I thought was a large book was only about 3 inches. And I went, oh, maybe nobody else is silly enough to even consider making a book that big. So I don't know. And like I said, I do like the idea of a volume 1 and a volume 2. A twin set, if you like. And I do actually wonder whether, or feel like that would be better, because essentially it would open out flatter to use. So in my mind, I'm thinking maybe that would be the better of the two choices. It just means that all of my beautiful papers won't be in the one set, the one journal. So I don't know. I throw it to you guys to tell me what you think is the best choice. Okay, so now I've stamped and I'm trying to decide whether I want to... I think I'd like to play with the tissue now. I have a childhood song in my head that goes something like, a tissue, and you can guess the rest of it. Just popped in there. So I'm thinking the 4 to a page would be really good. And I like this one because it has fairies, and my Wonderland journal has fairies, and it also has their sea fairies, and as you know, I have some beachy sea things in my journal. So I think I need to tear that out. I'm trying to guess which set this is from. I feel like perhaps it's from the decorated word set, but I can't guarantee. So I've given you the names of both sets, and you can feel free to pop over and have a look. If you look by title, I believe that the sets were listed according to alphabet. So in the sets I purchased, there were lots of S's in one. I think one of the sets went from R to W or something like that. So as I said, I chose them purely on the titles and what I wanted to use them for. Now, that was the other thing I wanted to talk to you about. Because I've been busy printing tissue paper, I have here all of these little strips of scrap tissue paper, and I've been keeping them, and I've been looking at them for days going, what am I going to do with them? Because they're taking up space on my desk here and they're very delicate. I've popped things on top of them and they're folded over and all sorts of things, but I'm like, if I throw them out, it's such a waste. I don't know what to do. And when I was in here yesterday, and I was actually considering making these little journal cards, and I thought about the stamping, and I was like, maybe I just need to get my stamps and stamp on them. I want that a little bit smaller, and then I can use them for the same purpose that I'm using these papers for collage on journal cards. So I think that's what I'm going to do with them. I'll just pop them onto my stamp backing paper, and I'm going to go crazy with some stamps and see what I end up with. So, and then I'll be able to use them in some collaging. I left a little bit of white space on here, but I don't really think I want it now. I don't really know what I was thinking there. Okay, so I don't want the whole thing in the one spot, so I'm going to try not to tear the, I was going to say author isn't correct. What do you call the person that writes the music? I've lost my words. I can't think. He's not the conductor. Oh my goodness, that is terrible. Now I'm wondering if I want to gesso or if I, oh, sorry, gesso. I had wondered about that too. I'm wondering if I want to use a glue stick, or I think I do actually. I did consider a bit of Mod Podge or matte medium, but I think I'm going to use my glue stick. Mostly because I like to feel that it is tissue paper once it's down, rather than when you use one of the other glue mediums, it tends to change the feel of the paper because it has that protective seal over the top. Okay. Now if I put a layer of Mod Podge or matte medium over the top of that, it would probably blend it into the background even more. So I haven't decided whether I really want to do that. Now I think I'm going to use my 3-part tearing method. So this will go in this corner. Whoops. It is a little bit delicate to use a glue stick on, so you do need to be careful. And I'm quite sure that different tissue papers can be different qualities. This tissue paper I've purchased from Officeworks here in Australia, and I've also purchased tissue paper from Bargain Buys, and I had no problem with either using a glue stick, but I have seen some crafters who do struggle. It may also depend on the glue stick as well, so I do find that the Uhu glue is a lot tackier for doing things like this. There's a little bit more of a fluidity about the glue stick, which is one of the reasons I prefer it. It seems a little bit wetter almost, so it glides over the paper more than the Uhu. I find it kind of has a bit of a resistance when trying to use it, so I know some people I watch will actually add the glue stick to the journal card or whatever it is that they're making and then pop the tissue over the top. So whatever works for you. Okay, how fun is that? Okay. So focal point. Now these papers do have a yellow background, so that will show up a little bit. And I had meant to get myself a little cup of water and a brush to, I just want to paint around these to be able to tear them out, because I don't want to lose any of the flowers. So just need to get myself a paintbrush. Okay, I have myself a reasonably fine paintbrush. I'll see how this one goes. I'm just wondering if there was anything else I needed to talk to you about. Okay, let's see how that goes. Move that water. Still have some resistance there. Perhaps I should have done all of these off camera. I remember this part of the process being a lot quicker than I feel like it's going to be. Oh, that's better. So using it similarly to the way you would use a napkin. Okay, that didn't work too bad at all. I do want to take a little out of the middle there. And we'll see how we go using the glue stick on here. Fingers crossed. Just going steady. Bottom did curl just a fraction, but it's not too bad. Okay, love it. Now, I'm like, don't really want to cover up that wording. I'm looking for something that might work without covering that over. I might try, so these are from ARTYmaze. I did just think to myself, it would be terrible if I had printed on this upside down. In other words, shiny side up. The way that water is bubbling on there makes me wonder whether I have. I don't think I have. No, it's worked. But I have accidentally printed on the wrong side before, so anything is possible. Oops. Well, I'll keep my labels to my right, I think, just so that they are a little bit separate. Yep, going to pop that on there. And that will be my journaling card done. That's all I'm going to do with these. pretty. Bring that a little closer so that you can see. So that's what I've ended up with. Very simple, very flat, very, very untextured, but I really love it. And as I said, I wanted something that would be really pretty and decorative, would showcase these beautiful papers. I mean, they're all gorgeous. They work really well together. So I'm super happy with that. I don't have to do anything to the back because it is already tea stained and looks gorgeous. So I'm going to continue. Now that I know my plan will come together beautifully. Okay, I really love this watermill, not for any particular reason, but it makes me think of watermills and I really like them. And oh, I don't need to do that with this. I can tear this because it's a straight edge. Okay, where'd my tear ruler go? Oh, there it is. You can hear how the tear changed once it got to that area that had the water on it. Okay. Yes, I kept that little scrap. I don't know. I'll filter through them later and decide what is actually worthy of keeping and what isn't. But for now, some of them, I put some smaller ones into, I keep a bag with my recycling in it that I can use to make recycled paper. Waste not, want not around here. So any small pieces that I decide I'm not going to keep, they will end up in that recycling. So I'm going to tear from here, but I'm going to tear very finely down past the title. Again, keeping that title intact. And it's not as easy to tear this one without tearing into the words, I'm afraid. So I'm just going to do what I can and see how it comes out. I did tear the top of the S there, never mind. Oh, that's what I've ended up with. And like I said, if, well, I don't know if I said it or not, I did think it. If I went through and I separated all these little pieces of tissue paper images before I started doing this, it would be a much quicker process. So a little wrinkling there. My fingers feel terrible at the moment. I've been still painting my little cupboard that hubby made me, and I had to sandpaper it yesterday, and the sandpaper has chewed into my fingers something terrible. It's an awful feeling. Don't like it at all. Okay. And I do have some more. I'm halfway through lacquering, so I've done one coat on 4 edges, 4 sides, and I'm waiting for that to dry so I can go out and do the other side and then the little cubicles. All will be revealed very soon. I'm planning on sharing with you. I'm just going to wait until I'm finished. It's been a fairly long, drawn out process because it has to be done in stages. So I did consider videoing at one stage, but then I was like, oh, that's boring. You see a whole lot of nothing and not a lot of progress. So I've taken some snapshots as I've gone, and I'll pop those together for you and do, I don't know, some sort of little slideshow or something so I can share with you what I've done. There's been a little bit of trial and error, which I will explain to you when I share. There's a little bit of something under that tissue paper there that has, oh, there we go. It's making a funny texture under the paper. Yeah, so I thought it was a better way of sharing with you to do it that way. There's been a little bit of experimenting, so I'll share about that as well. Whether I think it was successful or unsuccessful or gosh, that's pretty. Okay, so I want something here. Just like, what do I want? Do you like that? Seems my water is drying really quickly. We have got the fire going here at the moment. Maybe that's why. Just taking away the little bit that's really wet on the left hand side because I want to try and keep as much of the text as possible. And I'm just going to either fold that over or tear it off once it's dry. I'll wait until it's on there and then decide. I do need to change my book paper. a little ink over that. I probably should ink around them once I've done my gluing, which I didn't do the other one either. Oh, they're pretty. I love them. Okay, so a focal point for this one. I'm wondering about something up here on this one. So I don't want anything overly big. Oh, I think that could work. If I can get around it without tearing into the other one. They are a bit close. Sorry, they're a bit close to each other, so I don't know how I will go separating them without ripping into one of them, but it's okay. I certainly couldn't do it without the water, I don't think. Tissue paper has a tendency to tear in all directions when you tear it when it's dry. Okay, so I've lost the corner off that one that's on the sheet still, but that's okay. I didn't do too bad a job, I don't think. So I'm going to pop that in there, or down here. No, I think down there, actually. I think down lower, which isn't what I was expecting I would want to do. The other beauty of the tissue paper is that when you move them around, you can see through to see what the overall effect will look like. Phone folder. Love it. I love the negative space. I think they're really, really pretty. Okay, I do need to see. Well, I am getting very close to time. I may have time to do one more on camera. Go with that one. I'm actually really excited about doing these. I've been thinking about these for a little while. I don't know how long ago it was that I purchased these sheets, but they were one thing that really inspired me when I saw them. So I was really excited to have a play. Okay. I think I am going to go this way. So basically when I'm tearing these, I only want one side square. So whichever side I decide to leave tear, then I'm going to break up the square on the opposite side. I think I want to tear this way. And again, I'm going to break into that square. Part of the thing that I use to decide whether or not to break that square edge is where I think I want to place it on the paper. So I knew that the side piece would go here, and therefore this would have to shift across, so I knew I didn't want that square edge there. So effectively you only end up with one square edge, I think, per page when doing it this method. That's how I do it anyway. Okay. I'm sticking to everything. I'm missing a bit of glue under there. Okay, last piece. Now you can do this same process with these images printed onto paper if you're not able to or worried about printing onto tissue paper. Or you could use the same process using napkins. But it is a really fun way to use your digitals a little bit differently and, like I said, create a more flattened journal card that doesn't add a lot of bulk to your journal. Okay. Wondering about the bird. Just need to find the right bird that's going to sit. In the right spot. He's kind of fun. think I like him. I think I can make him work. Whoa, got a bit close there. I've been fussy cutting these birds out, and I will say that doing this method seems a whole lot easier to me than actually cutting them by scissors. Just saying. So that's kind of fun too if you have things that you want to use as focal points, but they are very fiddly. This is actually a really simple way to utilize them. It's much easier than cutting them out with a pair of scissors. So that is for sure. Now they are tacky on the back because I use a spray glue to help adhere them to a backing paper. I do have a video showing how I print to tissue paper, so I will try and link that in the description below if you're interested in having a look at that. Do be careful if you're putting tissue paper through your printer. Like I said, I don't know if I said it in this video, but I did recently jam a little bit of paper in my tissue paper in my printer. I was quite nervous that I wouldn't actually be able to get it out. It did take some, well, actually a whole lot of patience because I was starting to get really worried, but it did eventually come out. But it did make me, my colour is running a little bit in that corner there just from the water. It did make me more cautious next time I printed on my printer with tissue paper. So obviously I can't say whether your printer will handle printing on tissue paper. So please, please, please do be mindful if you decide to give it a go. Just err on the side of caution. And I will say in my video, when I demonstrate, I do only tape the top of my, or I tape the feed edge of my tissue paper. I have wondered whether I should be taping both so that might avoid, in actual fact, when I did get it jammed in my printer just recently, the page actually fed through crooked. I don't know why. So it was kind of a disaster to begin with. Like before it even fed through, it was not looking good. But it all happened so quickly that I didn't have a chance to try and help it feed through either. When I say help it, I mean by holding the paper to help direct it, which I have sometimes done. So printing these onto tissue paper, I was understandably nervous, but I'm so glad I did because they're so pretty. Oh, he's a little bit upright. He has his chest out a bit more than I had planned to. I planned to tilt him that way a little bit more, but he's proud. Okay, and thinking maybe the parcel post. Maybe one of these parcel post. It's funny, when I was talking about the bird standing proud and having his chest out, I actually sat up really, really straight, and then I was like, nobody can see you. It's funny how you do things without thinking. Okay. Part of me is just sitting here wondering, if I go through and I separate all of these, I'm wondering how I can store them so that I don't have to go through this fiddliness when I'm perhaps videoing, and I can still find what I'm after. I should just make sure that's going to work. Oh yes, these are fun. Just using the back of my nail. I find that's the easiest way to flatten out any creases without actually tearing into the tissue paper. Okay, I've got an avalanche of bits and pieces. So they are the 3 that we've created on camera. I'm probably going to stop there because I feel like I'm, yes, getting very close to time. So I'll quickly bring those up to the camera to show you. So that is our first one. Well, not the first that we created, but the second one. And the last one. They are gorgeous. I love them. Okay, so thank you for listening. Feel free, if you have any ideas, suggestions, thoughts about what I talked to you about with my Wonderland journal. I'd love to hear your feedback, and anything else that you wish to ask or chat about, also feel free to comment below. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you soon, everybody. Happy crafting, and bye for now.